Is this it? Is Bitcoin finally about to make a decision that will either send us to the moon or back to the Stone Age? We have to break this down right now. What is up, legends, and welcome back to Bitcoin Easy.io. This is your daily dose of no-nonsense crypto technical analysis where we cut through the noise and focus on the charts. Today we're putting Bitcoin under the microscope at these absolutely critical levels. Then we'll be zooming through the altcoin market, checking out Ethereum, Solana, XRP, SUI, and even a little bit of Hyperliquid, all of which are basically sitting on the sidelines waiting for the king to make its move. And you know the market is holding its breath because we have the FOMC minutes just around the corner, plus the tariff deadline just got a delay. It's about to get volatile in here. Yesterday we did a massive deep dive with our top-down analysis on Bitcoin, and today we see if that thesis is playing out already. If you're tired of missing these key market moves, make sure you hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell for your daily updates. Let's get into it. Alright, our largest time frame for today is the 3-day chart here, as we had the 3-day close yesterday and we were looking at this key pivot point that we want to stay above here, but we're still struggling really to break out of this range. So then we realistically need to look at the overall high here, that of course is right at $109,700, and then we want to see really a continuation here out of this range back above there to get clear confirmation here that the trend is continuing upwards here and that we're headed towards here the resistance line of this broader trend. Of course, there's still resistance in the way here expected in $118,000 to $120,000 area. If we now manage to break out here to the downside, we're printing higher lows here locally, and therefore the previous low here right at $103,300. That's our line in the sand to the downside. If we start closing below here, then we're likely to fall into this $100,000 to $98,000 range here, which of course is the best case scenario here for a correction. Otherwise, we're likely to drop down all the way to the weekly support area, where of course we find the diagonal support here from the ascending channel, as well as the 100 SMA here on the 3-day chart, and this key horizontal level here giving us prior support and resistance. So key area down here if this doesn't hold. So nothing really changed, and therefore we're going to put our focus here on the smaller time frames today, because of course we're expecting a lot of volatility, although the big event, the tariff deadline, has been moved to August 1st. So that is going to be, of course, in favor for the bulls. There's some relief in the market that we don't get any scary numbers coming out right now. But last time we rallied based on those news, of course, we had an announcement that the tariffs have been paused for 90 days. Now, instead of 3 months, we're looking at 3 weeks till that deadline is. And that deadline, as the president said, is now final. So we can expect those tariff announcements to come out on August 1st. And until then, of course, we can expect some caution in the market still here. And then, of course, we still have the FOMC minutes coming out tonight, which will give us a better insight on what the Fed is thinking about the interest rates. And then we have the CPI reports also this week. So we can expect some volatility based on those news. And there are the key levels here on the daily chart as well. Unchanged here as far as the confirmation level to the top goes here to break the prior high in this lower high structure right at $110,300. That's still where we want to see the daily closes above here to get confirmation that we headed upwards towards that $118,000 to $120,000 range. And then to the downside here, we see the local uptrend where we're also printing higher lows. There, the pivot point is right at $105,700 in perfect alignment with the 50 EMA here as well. Closes below there then take us down here to that range between $100,000 and $98,000, where we then also find the support of this trend here just below there, the 38.2. So we're still looking here for a decisive move, and then really here locally, it's either 110,300 or 105,700. Those are the key levels that give us a clear confirmation of which direction the price is going to continue into for at least the short to midterm. Right, guys, and to get early confirmation for all of this, of course, we want to see also what's happening on the 4-hourly chart. And here we are, guys. We're still in that really tight range here. We can see those 2 pivot points here. This one actually moved up now as we've been printing higher lows locally here as well. So you can see here we have a high, a low, a lower high, and now a higher low. So giving us somewhat of a symmetrical triangle here. And if we now fall below that prior low here, then of course it's likely that we come down here to that key support of the 200 EMA. And just below that we have the 38.2. So that's a key area to hold here, and that's also the key area that we saw on the daily chart where we find the pivot point there to decide whether we see a bigger move. And if that breaks down, then of course we can expect continuation here as well. down towards the $100,000 to $98,000 area. And yeah, guys, this is a very, very strong support area, and really the line in the sand here, if this breaks down, as we also saw on the 3-day chart, then there's really nothing left to hold us up before we get down to the $90,000 and $88,000 area. To the upside now, we can see here that of course we've been printing lower highs, so therefore the pivot point here is the previous high right at $109,500. If we see 4 hourly closes above there, then we can expect another move here into the weekly supply and resistance area, somewhere between $110,000 and $111,000. And that's where then of course it gets decisive. If we start closing above there, specifically here on a daily closing basis, there you can see it. That's the pivot point here as well, right at $110,300. Then of course we can expect further upside to higher price targets in the $118,000 to $120,000 range. So really guys, the levels aren't changed. I'm just giving you a quick reminder here of what we looked at yesterday really. And now let's see how a move into either direction here from Bitcoin could play out for the altcoins. As per usual here, we're sticking to the daily chart, kicking things off with Ethereum. And there we can see here that we're in this uptrend here really. We can just drop a trend line here, gives us some more confluence with all the other stuff that we can see here, holding us up here in this current range. Big cluster of moving averages. You can see the 50 below the 200 here, trying to get that golden cross, right? And then just above there also the 21 holding us up currently here. So very strong support from that perspective. And there we can also see in that local structure here, where we're also printing higher lows, the pivot point right here in alignment with the 38.2, which is of course the Fibonacci retracement of the entire downtrend here from the current cycle top. And there we can see that's our current support. So if that breaks down, then of course we can expect another move here down into the weekly demand and support area right here between $2,200 and $2,000. But that of course then is provoked by a decisive move from Bitcoin to the downside, and the same thing here to the upside. We can see we've been trading sideways here basically in this range here, holding up extremely strong compared to a lot of other altcoins. Clear pivot point, the prior high here right at $2,800. And then we can expect a move here at least towards $3,000, $3,200. But then if Bitcoin is printing new highs and getting up to those levels of $118,000 to $120,000, then we can see a much bigger move here for Ethereum and potentially see a test of the prior cycle highs by at least a move to at least $3,700 to $4,000 here. Now guys, if we look here at the Fibonacci retracement locally as well, to get a confirmation for here a potential pivot point in the range, then we can see here to get to the top, really what we want to do here, we have perfect confluence between the 38.2 levels. That is what's holding us up here as well. As we know, if we hold the 38.2 or break the 38.2, the 61.8 gets a massive hit rate. It has been resistance here within the range, but we've now actually broken out of it and trying to confirm it as support here by retesting it now. So from that perspective, we can expect Ethereum here to move a bit further up here. Therefore, also here the pivot point is 61.8. If we start seeing daily closes back below $2,600 roughly, then we can expect another move down here to test that trend line and that cluster of support down here. And then to the upside, if we break the 78.6, then of course it's likely that we go to test the pivot point here. And then if we see closes above there, right above $2,820, then we can expect a big move to the upside. Right guys, now over to XRP. Very similar here. We're just looking here at the local retracement for this current downtrend here. And we see that we broke over the 38.2. Therefore, as always, 61.8 has a big hit rate, and we're now trying to break that actually here. And we're also trying to break here out of this local downtrend. You can see here, this is the prior high. So we're just above that pivot point here right now. There you see that was the green line marking it as well. So we're looking for a daily close to get confirmed above there now. And then we can expect this rally here to extend to at least $2.50. And that's where then it gets interesting here between $2.50. And if we then see daily closes above $2.58, then we can expect the price here to at least move up to the $3 range. Then to the downside, we can see here this local uptrend, this higher low, higher high structure. There, of course, we can see the previous low here right in the area where we also find the 21 and the 50 EMA and the 38.2 from that same Fibonacci retracement. So this is what we want to stay above. Okay guys, now over to Solana, and here we can see clearly we're also in a downtrend for Solana. We see here printing lower highs. Now we can see here that of course the pivot point is in perfect alignment right at $165 with the 61.8 of the Fibonacci retracement of that entire downtrend. So break above that, and of course will send us back up here to at least the 78.6 and to test the prior highs here in the $180 region. And we can see the support is coming here from the local range that we've been forming here, that we've been trading sideways in basically. So we want to stay above $147 roughly. If we start closing below there, same thing, then it's likely that we go to revisit the prior low here and most likely get deeper into that weekly demand and support area here in the $125 to $120 range. Very key spot here to break the 200 EMA as well on the daily chart. Then just above there, we can see that resistance right at $165 here. So really strong resistance coming in here between $160 and $165. Any closes above there clearly send us up here to at least $185. And that's then really decisive here for the broader trend. As you can see, that's the spot where we have the lower high here, really from a much larger time frame perspective. And just above there also here the weekly supply area. So very, very strong resistance here between 180 and 200 bucks. Then closing above there would give us a green light here for Solana to continue upwards to test the current all-time highs. Alright guys, SUI is now facing here a death cross. You can see the 50 EMAs falling below the 200 EMA. The Fibonacci retracement, the golden one, is the retracement for the entire uptrend here. Then the smaller one there is the one for the entire downtrend here. And there we can see a strong cluster of resistance above us there, the 38.2, the 50, and the pivot point here in this local downtrend. So right at $3.50, there we have massive resistance now. But locally we can see here there's a strong resistance cluster above us here in the form of those moving averages, in form of the local high here, right at $3. So if we start closing here above the $3 range, then we can expect a move up here towards at least $3.50. A break above there would send us up here towards $4.20. Any closes above there then really would send SUI up towards new all-time highs as well. Then here for our pivot point locally, nothing has changed since we spoke last time. We can see here there's higher low structure locally as well. And therefore we see here right at $2.67. That's the line in the sand. Daily closes below there, send us back down here to test the current low. And then if that doesn't hold, likely that we fall down here to the $2 range. Now let's look at the last one here, the newest asset that we started looking at consistently here. We're looking at Hyperliquid, of course, the most bullish chart of them all. There we can see that we're really close to the current tops here and the current all-time highs. And we're looking at this Fibonacci retracement first again now. There we see we're tracing this downtrend here. We have turned the 38.2 into support, therefore massive hit rate with a 61.8. That is our current resistance point in perfect alignment here with also the resistance of this symmetrical triangle. So there we can see that locally here the pivot point is right at $40.30. If we start closing above there, then we will go up to test our current highs here in the area between $42 and $46. To the downside here, same thing, we have a local uptrend. Here's our previous low, so right at $36.80. There we also have the 38.2, just below there the 50 EMA here and the support of the symmetrical triangle. So that range here between $36.80 and $35 here is really our key support that has been confirmed here with the previous bounce of that trend line in alignment here also with the 50 EMA. So really the line in the sand here is the 23.6 on that Fibonacci retracement right at $34.30. If we start seeing closes below there, then we can expect this here to move much lower as well. Very likely that we find strong support here in the area of $31 to $30. And that here between $25 and $23 is really the worst case scenario that I can see here for Hyperliquid. Alright guys, that's a wrap for today. The main takeaway is that all eyes are on Bitcoin still and its current consolidation. The direction it breaks from this zone will likely dictate the entire market's move. Be ready, and you'll definitely want to be here tomorrow as we're switching gears for Gem Hunters episode 3, where we dive deep to find some potential low cap monsters. For my instant TA updates and charts, the second I see something important, make sure you're following me on X. And for your daily crypto news in under 90 seconds, check out my Instagram and TikTok. The links are all down below. If this video helped you stay ahead of the game today, do me a solid and smash that like button. It helps the channel more than you know. And remember, none of this is financial advice. These are just my opinions and analysis. Always do your own research and trade responsibly. Now I'm out of here. And as always, guys, happy trading and see you soon.